Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Teacher Turned Librarian, the podcast where we talk all things school libraries. My name is Chase. I'm a fourth grade teacher working towards my master's in library and information science, and I have my classmates Allison and Jessica with me to discuss makerspaces in school libraries. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a seventh grade ELA teacher in South Carolina. Thank you so much for having me here today.
I'm Allison. I teach third grade in Spartanburg. I teach all subjects, and I'm excited for my new journey as an elementary school librarian.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have both of you here today. For a little bit of historical background, we just wanted to start by explaining in the mid-1800s, Secretary of the Massachusetts Board of Education, Horace Mann, started the Common School movement, where school districts could utilize local self-imposed taxes to create school libraries in public elementary schools. Mann wanted to focus on the shortcomings of school resources, and he believed school libraries would remedy that problem. He collected tons of data from school libraries in Massachusetts, and he discovered concerns in regards to equity of access. Poor and working class communities were not having the same opportunity to read as their wealthier counterparts.
Equity of access is still a huge issue in school libraries today. So, what's the common issue across the years? Is anything actively being done to remedy the situation on a macro or micro level?
Well, research shows that strong school library programs, resources, and collections result in positive trends in student achievement as measured by standardized testing scores. The main factors helping or hindering school libraries across the country are most commonly the amount of adequately trained staff and instructional teams, the meaningful and purposeful use of resources, collections, and services, librarian instruction throughout guided inquiry with students, teachers, and administrators, and the development of funding through allocated student budgets.
That all definitely makes sense, especially when you think about progression of society and how that affects school libraries in terms of technology. We live in such an interconnected landscape that it's sometimes a concern of whether we are actively collaborating on a face-to-face format versus making assumptions based on what's available on the internet.
You make a great point there. As society progresses, it's no secret that technology continues to advance with it. Libraries in all sectors, not just school libraries, must grow with these changes and learn how to incorporate new concepts into their programming, services, and collections. Failure for libraries to evolve and meet the ever-changing needs of their communities puts their survival at risk. For school libraries specifically, this means they have a responsibility to work alongside IT staff to eliminate any possible competition for services and programs through STEM or STEAM, blended learning, and makerspace education programs. When they are able to coordinate with one another and find common ground, they can work together to foster, quote, functionally well-staffed libraries that support innovative teaching and develop actively engaged critical thinking students, end quote, from Robertson, 2019. It is the job of librarians to prepare their patrons for the vastly changing digital landscape so that they are prepared for their future and can still see librarians as relevant and meaningful tools for learning and growing.
That is so true. With all that being said, what can school librarians do to ensure equity of access and collaboration in their school communities?
For school libraries, this means embracing the makerspace ideal of equipping libraries with a range of tools and supplies that can be used in the process of making or creating some sort of product that is a potential solution to a problem. However, it is important that school libraries understand the meaning and relevance of utilizing a makerspace in their school community by examining the overall purpose, learning goals, and scope of a makerspace, as well as its impact on future lifelong learning.
Well, thank you so much for all of that background information for our listeners.
Yes, that was amazing and insightful.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to share the history, but now I will hand over some questions to you guys to discuss makerspaces in depth and the ways in which they are being utilized in public school libraries and the benefits they have on students, teachers, and other school faculty. We've been talking about how technology has advanced very rapidly in recent years and how these changes have also impacted the school library and what that might look like. many school libraries are considering the addition of makerspaces. First, can you, Allison, tell us why a school library may be considering adding a makerspace?
That's a great question. Many school librarians see their roles in education and the relevance of the school library being questioned as new technologies become increasingly available. Makerspaces are one way that school libraries can incorporate these newer technologies in a way that makes their library more meaningful to digital native students in the new information age.
But what exactly is a makerspace?
Again, that's a great question, and definitely something that needs to be well understood before one can implement a makerspace. Dictionary.com defines a makerspace as being a collaborative workshop that supplies equipment and technology, such as 3D printers, soldering tools, industrial sewing machines, etc., for creative projects.
While that sounds really wonderful, does it really happen in a school setting? Is it really as simple to implement as some would suggest?
Indeed, while it does sound simple, it is something that takes critical planning and implementation in order to be effective. It's not enough to just buy the materials and say you have a makerspace. You have to really think about what the main purpose of your makerspace will be, who it will be serving, and how it will contribute to the school library's overall mission to support innovative teaching and actively engaged, critically thinking students. In her article, Expanding School Collections, the Makerspace Edition, Nikki Robertson lists great questions that a school librarian can ask themselves when planning. They are, will the makerspace be a static part of the physical landscape of the school library, or will it be mobile in nature? Will the overarching purpose of the makerspace be to serve as part of the school library, as a curricular support, as an after or before school program, as a club, or in some other capacity?
Wow, it really sounds like implementing a makerspace is a lot like adding any form of new technology to the library. Whatever is added will greatly with the physical area as well as how it impacts students and the school community. Are there any effective implementation techniques that other school librarians have already tried?
Yes, the good news is that while it does change the environment of the library completely, there are others who have already found effective ways of implementing makerspaces in their school libraries and have been happy to share. One librarian at a school in Iowa put wheels on her makerspace by transforming book carts into a mobile makerspace. This is a wonderful idea for schools with limited library space, and it also provides flexibility for the makerspace resources to be used within the school library or in classrooms as a curricular support resource. Another school librarian quickly learned that her students would need more guidance with using the makerspace resources wisely, so she started giving kids an amount to spend to purchase their resources. Not only did this make them less likely to blow through all the supplies quickly, it also afforded the opportunity to teach financial literacy through the makerspace. A primary teacher chose to manage her makerspace resources by creating a badge system where students can earn badges for the tools they become experts in and can teach others, or use the tools unsupervised.
Besides being good for creating real-world learning opportunities and hands-on engaging lessons, why else would a librarian want to have a makerspace in their school library?
Another great reason to have a makerspace in the school library is that it can create opportunities for collaboration among the librarians and teachers if they're given the proper time to plan together. When given the time, teachers can share the standards they are currently studying with the librarian, and they can work together to create very engaging and one-of-a-kind lessons centered around students creating something in the makerspace. This makes the makerspace even more meaningful and instruction more engaging.
While it definitely sounds like a makerspace can be a wonderful addition to a school library, are there any drawbacks to having one?
Great question. There are definitely pros and cons to having a makerspace in the library. Makerspaces can lose their purpose and meaning if they're not finding alignment with learning standards and traditional teaching and learning perceptions. Meaning that if the activities are not aligned with content and curriculum, the value and justification of a makerspace can be put into question. A way for us to overcome this potential challenge is allowing librarians and teachers from all content areas the time to plan together to create relevant and engaging activities for students that connect the learning standards of each content area into the makerspace to extend student thinking and increase rigor.
It seems like the goal of a makerspace is to maximize student learning. How can a makerspace benefit students in a way that a traditional library setting cannot?
Implementing a makerspace can expand access to benefit students who may not regularly utilize library services due to a lack of interest or feelings of inadequacy from failures in traditional settings. In the article Makerspaces for Rethinking Teaching and Learning in K-12 Education, the author Louis S. Datelson describes how the unique learning environment of a makerspace can impact how students see and assess themselves as learners, because those who may not find success in traditional learning environments may achieve high success levels in a makerspace environment. The newfound success and achievement through alternative approaches to learning has led students to reevaluate their identity as a learner while reinforcing their growth mindset development. Because most makerspaces adopt science and technological approaches that would not otherwise be found through library services, the addition of a makerspace expands access to students who may not identify with specific subject areas, but like problem solving and developing creative solutions.
And how else can a makerspace create a more inclusive and accessible library?
Well, as librarians, we are always looking for ways to make our libraries more welcoming and inclusive to the communities we serve. Makerspaces can greatly benefit students who are English language learners. In the article, School Libraries Addressing the Needs of Students, the author Peggy Murphy shares that there are often very little resources available for ELL students in school libraries due to a lack of funding and difficulty procuring foreign language texts. But despite this, implementing a makerspace can remove the language barrier to promote problem solving and critical thinking. The process and products of creation allow English language learner students to demonstrate learning through non-traditional methods and can also be used as a conduit for strengthening cultural literacy. Because makerspaces invite social interaction and collaboration between peers, ELL and non-ELL students have the opportunity to connect with practices or customs of the other student's culture.
That's a really beautiful concept. What are some examples of activities or projects that can take place in a makerspace?
There are endless possibilities for projects in a makerspace. As Murphy discusses in her article, makerspaces have generally been used to encourage the study of STEM and to teach students critical thinking and problem-solving skills. 3D printing, Lego engineering, and audiovisual creation are all STEM-based activities that are often implemented into a makerspace. However, Murphy also shares that some makerspaces have sewing machines, arts and crafts materials, painting supplies, and other low-tech materials that still encourage making, critical thinking, and problem solving, but are not STEM focused. All of these opportunities prove that makerspaces are beneficial to student learning by expanding access with opportunities that were not always available, but had community interest.
Is there justification for replacing or removing traditional library content for makerspace activities like these?
Absolutely not. The benefits of makerspace activities definitely justifies their addition to the library, but not their replacement. There is still inherent value in the traditional reading and literacy practices of the school library, but a makerspace invites in opportunities that were not previously available to maximize student learning and expand library access.
This is really tremendous information for a school librarian in any school setting to have. This could change the impact of the school library completely and make the school library a more engaging space for teachers, students, and the school community. This will allow school libraries to continue to be relevant to users and be a growing organism, as Ranganathan outlined in his Principles of Librarianship, which is truly the goal of all librarians, regardless of what role they fill. Thank you so much for your contribution to our knowledge of makerspaces and technology in the school library.
Well, Jessica and Allison, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you both for your review and literature discussion regarding makerspaces in school libraries. It's clear to see makerspaces help students find their place in academics by strategically utilizing their strengths and weaknesses in a creative environment. Makerspaces have the power to enhance cultural awareness and encourage collaboration between students. It allows them the opportunity for hands-on experiences and multiple styles of learning, which empower students and get them thinking about their future careers through their interests and capabilities. Implementing makerspaces in school libraries keeps the magic and ingenuity of libraries alive. This has been Chase, Allison, and Jessica from the Teacher Turned Librarian podcast signing off. We thank you all for listening, and please let us know what you would like to hear us talk about next time.